Just when fans thought Caitlin Clark was ready to bounce back, another unexpected twist has left everyone stunned. The Indiana Fever's star rookie, who electrified the league with her record-breaking performances, has suffered yet another setback. This time, it wasn't during a high-intensity game or a hard practice. Instead, it happened during a quiet solo workout. A bone bruise to her left ankle has once again placed her return on hold, raising new questions about her future, her team's playoff chances, and even the direction of the WNBA itself. Clark's troubles began back in mid-July, when a groin injury abruptly cut short her rookie season. For fans who had followed her meteoric rise through college into the pros, it was almost surreal. Just months earlier, she was rewriting the NCAA record books, dominating defenses, and becoming the face of women's basketball. Suddenly, instead of highlights, fans were left with injury reports. The Fever, who had relied heavily on her scoring and leadership, felt the blow immediately. The team's playoff hopes dimmed, and the WNBA lost the player many were calling its biggest star since Diana Taurasi or Sue Bird. And while groin injuries aren't unusual in basketball, they're notoriously tricky. Healing requires rest, patience, and careful rehab. Clark had no choice but to step back, regroup, and begin the slow grind of recovery. But just as she seemed ready to turn the corner, things took an unexpected turn. On August 7th, during what should have been a routine solo workout in Phoenix, Clark suffered a new setback, a bone bruise in her left ankle. Doctors quickly reassured fans it was very mild, but the news still landed like a thunderclap. For a player already sidelined for weeks, even a small injury meant more lost time. Bone bruises might sound minor, but they can be deceptively painful. They often signal underlying stress in the joint, and if not handled carefully, they can linger for weeks. For Clark, this meant pressing pause yet again, right when she was preparing to rejoin team practices. The frustration was clear, not just for Clark, but for her coaches, teammates, and the entire fan base that had been counting down the days to her return. And the timing couldn't have been worse. On the very same day Clark hurt her ankle, the Fever's backcourt was hit with two devastating blows. Guard Ari McDonald suffered a broken foot, ending her season. Veteran Sydney Colson tore her ACL, also sidelining her indefinitely. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just missing their star rookie. They were staring at a guard crisis that left their rotation dangerously thin. For a team still building chemistry and searching for an identity, the timing felt almost cruel. Clark's return had been seen as the spark to reignite their playoff push. Without her, and now without key backup guards, the Fever faced the possibility of collapsing out of contention entirely. The WNBA schedule doesn't wait, and every game lost without Clark in the lineup made the hill steeper to climb. Still, despite the setbacks, the team remained publicly confident. Head coach Stephanie White addressed the media with her trademark calm. Her message was steady. The Fever would not rush Clark back. Until she's back in practice, everything stays status quo, White explained. In other words, there was no clear timetable. That lack of certainty only fueled speculation. Would Clark return before the playoffs? Could the Fever still make a run without her? Fans debated endlessly online, analysts weighed in with conflicting opinions, and rival teams circled matchups against Indiana as easier wins. But beneath the cautious optimism, the truth remained. Nobody knew when Caitlin Clark would truly be ready to return. And with the Fever's guard depth evaporating, the weight of those questions grew heavier by the day. If uncertainty was swirling around Clark, her teammates were quick to cut through the noise. Veteran Sophie Cunningham took to her podcast to directly call out one of Clark's loudest critics, sports commentator Skip Bayless. Bayless had dismissed Clark's injury concerns, questioning whether she was truly as hurt as the report suggested. Cunningham's response was fiery. She labeled his comments "Bull's tea," standing firmly behind her teammate. Moments like this revealed just how much Clark means to her team, not just as a player, but as a person. Teammates weren't just waiting for her return, they were fighting for her reputation, defending her against critics who saw her absence as weakness. That unity spoke volumes. For the Fever, Clark's comeback wasn't just about points or assists. It was about pride, loyalty, and proving that their young star could weather the storm. Ironically, while Clark struggled with injuries, the WNBA itself continued to soar. The 2025 season has already smashed records. 2.43 million total attendance, over 300,000 fans packing into Indiana's home arena alone, and a 13% jump in national TV viewership. And at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark. Even when she wasn't on the court, her name, her presence, and her influence were driving the conversation. Merchandise sales climbed, tickets sold out, and arenas buzzed with anticipation whenever the Fever came to town. It was proof that Clark had become more than just a player. She was a phenomenon. Her injuries may have slowed her, but they hadn't stopped the movement she ignited. If anything, her absence only underscored how much she meant to the league's explosive growth. Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA has never been just about basketball. It's been about pressure, expectations, and the spotlight of being a generational talent. Now, her story has taken yet another dramatic turn. A groin injury followed by an ankle setback, neither career-ending, but both deeply disruptive, have left her future uncertain. For the Indiana Fever, her return could be the difference between a playoff push and another rebuilding year. For the league, her comeback represents more than just one player suiting up again. It symbolizes resilience, hope, and the power of a star to lift an entire sport. As fans hold their breath, one truth remains. When Caitlin Clark finally steps back on the court, it won't just be a game. It'll be a moment that could define the Fever's season, and perhaps the future of the WNBA itself.